Hi, so today I am responding to Todd Friel on Wretched. I'll spare you the intro, but basically he says, God is real, it's Judgment Day, and before God condemns the atheist says, but God, I didn't know you existed.
Could I encourage you to actually memorize 4 responses? Why? Why so much work? Well, my experience tells me when somebody says that to me and I respond with one biblical statement, they go, yeah, but what about but I give them a second and a third and a fourth. It's like putting a nail into a board. You don't just tap it once. You got to hit a second time and a third time and a fourth time to drive it in.
I could be wrong, but that sounds more like a gish gallop to me. Somebody has a response to one argument, then just give them all of them at once. It's harder for them to respond that way.
Here's the first from Ecclesiastes 3:11. Every human intuitively knows that there is an afterlife. Something inside that says, when I die, there's something beyond the veil. Isn't that why we all kind of get the heebie-jeebies thinking about, what's that going to be like? Because we know that there is something there. You know that there is an afterlife.
No, we don't. The concept of an afterlife is something that has to be either taught or fabricated. We don't intuitively know much of anything, especially not religiosity. Now, we as humans are fairly susceptible to accepting that claim, but the bottom line, without a religious upbringing, you wouldn't have a concept of the afterlife, and the fact that the Bible says otherwise doesn't change that. Besides, the meaning of the phrase used in Ecclesiastes 3:11 isn't actually clear, despite this being a common interpretation among Christians.
And you can use that to reason with somebody. Make it an organic conversation, not just a lecture, not just a sermon that isn't a two-way street. Reason with them.
You can't quite organically say that you know what I really know on the basis of a religious text. Saying that you know what I believe better than I do isn't going to go down very well.
God has hardwired humans to innately know that He exists. He, in Romans 1, makes it clear over and over and over again. Every single person knows God exists. They don't know Him in a right relationship, but they know God exists.
Okay, let's think about what you're saying, okay? You're saying that I believe He exists. And your argument for that is that it's written down in the Bible, which has to be inspired by an existent God in order to be true. That's a bit circular, isn't it? I don't believe in a God. I genuinely don't. I'm not convinced of any supernatural power, and this fact in itself completely destroys your argument. Whether you can accept that or not, this argument holds no weight to an atheist, because, believe it or not, whether you can comprehend it or not, we don't believe in a God, and you're not the one to tell me what I believe.
That should be hammer thump number 2. This is number 3. From Psalm 19, in creating the universe, God has made His presence inexcusably obvious.
No, it's not. God is just one explanation of the universe, and He's far from being the best one. Everything that we can see can be explained in terms of natural forces and processes, most of which have been proven, by the way. And those explanations are without the assumption of the supernatural, or any dogma attached to it. This is a topic that will take many videos by themselves, but cosmology is a thing, and Darwinian evolution is also a thing. If it can be better explained by other things, it is not obvious that God did it.
If there's a TV monitor, there is a TV monitor maker. Day after day, this TV is actually broadcasting, even when it's not on. It is shouting, somebody made me. I'm intricately designed. This couldn't have happened by accident.
The watchmaker argument. Because atheists haven't heard that one before. The fact that we can make intricate things does not mean nor imply that everything that is intricate or complex is made in the same way. We've come to both understand and prove Darwinian evolution and cosmology. Any decently educated person is not going to be ignorant of that. Now, here's the thing. Since you believe in God, when you see something in nature, you interpret that as being made by God, and that's amazing to you. But somebody who doesn't believe in God doesn't interpret it in the same way, and thereby doesn't have the same feeling as you. And if he goes to try to find an explanation of it, a supernatural intelligence is not going to be an obvious explanation.
That's exactly the sermon that creation is preaching. Therefore, if you claim, I didn't know that God exists, it's simply because you have forced yourself to be mute and not listen to the sermon that God has been preaching.
It's nice to see that there's somebody who understands my thought process better than I do. Arguing with an atheist by telling him what and how he thinks isn't going to do much more than annoy, especially if that's a major component of a gish gallop.
Number 4. This from Romans 2, God has given us a conscience to know we have sinned against our Maker. Every time we do something wrong, we know. They all recognize we all have a conscience.
There's a better explanation for our conscience as well. Guilt is the result of complex neurological processes, as are all emotions. That doesn't imply a God. If our conscience and our morality is given to us by God, then why are there so many disagreements on what is moral? If we all intuitively know what is moral, wouldn't we all intuitively agree? If I feel guilt, it's not because I feel like I've wronged a god or a supreme being. It's because I feel like I've wronged a person, or perhaps an animal. That's what I feel guilt for.
Please memorize those 4 responses to that objection so that when you witness to somebody, while we still have time, and they offer up the old, I didn't know that God existed, you can help them understand, oh yes you did. Your objection overruled.
No, Todd. I don't. I don't believe in a God. And you're not going to convince me that I do by insisting that I think the same things and in the same way as you do. It doesn't really matter what the Bible says that I think, because in regards to what I think and what I believe, I'm the one to ask. Now, it would be pretty convenient if everyone actually did believe in the Abrahamic God, but the reality is, it is possible for people to disagree with you. Try to understand that, if you can. But that's going to be it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and I do have another item in the merch store. It's this. The idea is that you put this on your pets to show your guests the real meaning of atheism. I do offer this design on a baby's t-shirt as well as a baby's bib, which I think is far more hilarious, but I don't currently have an infant at my disposal. I don't plan on having one anytime soon. If you're interested, check out the merch store and support me that way. You can also support me on Patreon, but even if you're just a fan of mine and just want to watch my videos, I still appreciate you. Thanks for watching.